Hello everybody, it is that time again. My name's McQueeb. We are going to take a look at Noita's 1.0 release, the perks therein, and we're going to rank them because that's not ever something that people argue about often. So sit back, relax, we're going to do a few things this evening. I'm going to go through some of the perks and I'm going to make some adjustments based on one, some of the changes that have happened, and two, I've actually adjusted the way that I've been thinking about a few of these perks. So that's going to happen first. Then we're going to take a look at some of the new perks released with 1.0 and the subsequent updates since then. And then we're going to piece it all together. You're going to have a complete list of all of the perks that are in the game at the moment. Now, I can't believe I have to say this, but this is my opinion. It is definitely right in my mind. It may not be right in yours. We're going to disagree with some of these, and that's totally fine. It's a beautiful thing about Noita. You can play it in any which way you choose, and you're going to have different opinions. That's just how the game is played. So, some of the first things that I'm going to do is look at the God tier list. This has changed somewhat. We're going to remove, first of all, telekinetic kick. I just don't find it that useful. I don't think it belongs in the God tier list. It's very fun. It's cool to like pick up stuff from a distance and throw it. It's just limited. It does not belong in the God tier list. That's one I regret, actually, from the previous list. So we're going to move that down. It's a good perk. We're going to leave it right here. Next, another one I regret, and I'm sure you'll all agree with this one, Explosion Immunity. It is getting moved from good to God tier, and I think that's a pretty good exchange there. Next, we've got Blood Greed, Blood Money. That's getting moved down. No longer is it God tier. It's been sort of reworked a little bit. I think it's a lot more fair now, and it's now an exceptional perk. Still amazing to get, but it does not belong up the top with those other ones. And I'm going to make one more minor change. That is that concentrated spells, I'm going to move it from detrimental. It's not actually all that bad. To me, there's still little value, but I know it's a popular one in the community. So I'm actually going to move that up ever so slightly. The biggest thing about this is that it has considerable knockback. To some people, that's not a big deal. To me, I hate getting pushed back every time I'm trying to cast spells. If I'm casting spells, I want to progress further. I don't want to get, slowed down or worse, get shot in reverse. So we're going to move this one up to somewhat useful. And that's it. That's where we're going to leave everything for now. We're going to be taking a look at some of the new perks in just a second. One of the major changes that did come about was with Toxic Immunity. We've got it listed as exceptional, and I think it should stay there. But it now also protects against Toxic Rock, which is a change that I know a lot of people have been looking for. And I'm really glad that it's come about finally. So the first perk we're going to start with is called Angry Ghost. A little red ghost that follows you around and duplicates some of your spells. Anything that you're shooting. I do believe you can copy enemy spells and traps as well. So you've got to be actually a little bit careful. Can be quite chaotic. If you've got invisibility, this guy will automatically target enemies and take you out of invisibility. So those two kind of don't work well together. It's all right. It's not something that I would definitely take every time, but I don't know, a little bit of fun. I'm going to put it in somewhat useful. Let's start there and see how we go. Next, we've got Exploding Gold. So what happens when your gold is about to expire or you pick it up, it explodes. The explosion doesn't hurt the player, so that's nothing to really worry about. It can definitely detonate traps and destroy terrain. There's not much point to it, really. I'm gonna put it at little value. I don't really see the use of that one. I'm going to put it right here. Next, we have a really, really interesting one. This impacts the currently held wand. So make sure you're holding a wand that if you want it to take effect on. It's high mana, low capacity. So what it does, it adds between 1 to 3 or 400 mana to the maximum mana pool on the wand. It also increases the wand's mana charge speed. That's really, really great, right? What it does, it halves your wand's capacity. That's divided by 2, but it also rounds down. So if you have a 1 capacity wand, for example, you're starting bomb wand, and you pick this up, it will be a 0 capacity wand. Now, all of that being said, if you've got the need for like a digging wand or something that needs a really, really rapid shoot, but it doesn't require a lot of multipliers and extra spell modifiers, it can be exceptional. Now, in combination with the next perk, it's kind of amazing. It takes a long time to build it back up, so this is really, really good for those long runs that you're going on. But early on, in a pinch, it's not the worst thing in the world. The mana charge speed is the most important thing about that, and it can increase quite dramatically. So I'm going to put it in... I'm leaning towards exceptional, but I'm going to put it in good for now, just because of its pretty hefty cost on the storage capacity of the wand. So it's going to go into good for now. The next perk is, as mentioned, really, really great in combination with the one we were just looking at. It's extra wand capacity. So this particular perk will add between 1 to 3 slots on every single wand that you're currently holding. Now you can start to see why it's really good with that other perk. I'm going to put this one in exceptional. It has 0 downsides. It will add slots up to a maximum of 25. So keep that in mind. If you've already got a couple of 25 plus capacity wands, you cannot go higher than that. But other than that, it's great. It's amazing. It does exactly what it says on the tin. The next one we have is called Faster Levitation. It increases your levitation speed by 75%. So you can get to harder to reach areas relatively easily with this because you're traveling faster using the same amount of flight juice. For me, this is a weird one. It changes the way the game feels. If you have increased movement speed, taking it isn't that big of a deal because it's kind of in line with that increased speed and it feels good, right? Like everything all together cohesively, you start moving around both vertically as well as horizontally in a more balanced manner. Without that though, it's kind of very lopsided in terms of verticality. It's still good for getting around, but it's also makes it a little bit difficult getting around certain areas delicately, right? So if I'm on a no-hit run or you're trying to get through an area with very, very little health, be extra careful if you've picked this up because it's very possible that you'll go way too high, maybe run into some material in the ceiling. Who knows? You could end up in a situation that you don't want to be in. It's definitely not horrible, and I'd say it's higher in the list than somewhat useful, but I'm not going to give it anything more than good for now. If I'm on a long run and I do have a couple of speed ups, taking one of these isn't the worst thing. Like I said, it actually balances out that movement pattern. But for now, yeah, let's put it in good. It's going to sit right here. The next perk is kind of amazing. It's called Faster Wands. This one modifies all of the wands that you're currently carrying, and it speeds them up quite dramatically. So it reduces the cast delay and recharge time by about 20%, and it also adds to the mana recharge of the wand. So you can turn a pretty average wand into something pretty dang good. I'm going to put it into exceptional. I might not take it over some of the others in that list, but it is still definitely from the perks that we've gotten in the 1.0 release. it's up there. It is like really, really great. So I'm going to move it up to exceptional. Next, we have kind of an interesting one, depending on the situation that you're in. It's called Faster Projectiles. It does exactly what it says. It increases your projectile speed by around about 75%. Now, that can be good and it can be bad depending on your current loadout, right? If you want to put a lot of shots down range, the faster they're traveling is certainly a good thing to have a faster shot. But if you're looking at more delicate stuff, if you've got something like Matter Eater and you're using the slime ball, but now you've got this, the slime ball will be traveling too fast and Matter Eater will no longer trigger or won't trigger as much. Yeah, it's mostly good, I would say. Be very, very careful with certain spells. It's great with black holes, especially if you have projectile repulsion field as well, because it's actually the shot will be traveling too fast to be greatly impacted by projectile repulsion field's increase in spread. So for that reason, yeah, I would say this is a good perk. Just be very, very careful with it. Be cognizant of the spells that you're currently using, what you plan to be using. It may not work with those synergies. So I'm going to move it to the good pile and go right up here. The next perk is kind of one of my new favorite perks, especially if I'm doing a challenge run like a no-hit run, with a small caveat. It's called Gas Fire. There is a circle of protection around you. It's one way to look at it, I guess. Within that circle, all gases are ignited, right? So if you've got acid or freezing vapor or anything like that, it's immediately sort of burnt away. Now, the one side effect is that there will be extra fire, so you can very easily set yourself on fire with this one. Be extra careful. If you have fire immunity, it is God tier. Without it, I would say it's still exceptional, depending on your style of run. Like I said, if you're doing a regular run, take it. It's really, really good. Now, the one problem that does come with this is that since the cloudscape area is essentially made entirely up of, well, mostly, of clouds, which are a gas, the clouds will burn away, so you'll have no place to stand. Good thing is there is other areas up there that you can stand on. Just keep in mind, there'll be a lot of stuff on fire, including stuff that's not the ground, because it's still this burning circle around you. So be extra careful with it, but like I said, if you've got fire immunity, go for it. This one's going in the exceptional list. The next one is weird. It's increased gravity or high gravity. I mean, it does what it says, right? So if you're trying to get up higher, it's more difficult to do so. You'll probably run out of flight juice before you'll be able to make it up to a certain area that you might have otherwise been able to make it to. You fall faster. I mean, for that reason, it's kind of good, right? Getting through levels might be easier with this. Maybe that's a hidden speedrunner trick. Who knows? I don't know. It also makes liquids fall off you much faster as well. It's weird. I'm not a speedrunner. I do like progressing quickly through levels, but at the same time, I don't know how quickly I really need to go. Like, I'm doing just fine without it. This one I'm going to put in little value. I think I need to research that one a little bit more, but for right now, yeah, it's going to stay little value. One interesting note with that as well is that I took high gravity and low gravity. They didn't quite equal out. I still had a bit of vertical movement, so it's like the low gravity seems like it's a little bit stronger. It's a weird one. So yet another interesting perk, Homunculus. This little fella spawns whenever you leave a holy mountain, and that's true from the moment you take it. So as soon as you pick it up, as soon as you leave a holy mountain, one of these little guys will spawn, and every future Holy Mountain, you'll get subsequent ones appearing. Kind of helpful, kind of scary, actually. The reason I say that, so this little guy can spawn. He can summon one of 4 different types of projectiles. They follow you around. They will teleport to you if you move out of reach. They can pick up wands, and they will attack both enemies and neutral entities on the screen. Now, the problem with them, well, one of the problems with them, is that if you're polymorphed, they're gonna attack you, so that's gonna instantly kill you. Be very, very careful around polymorph if you do have it. It's fun. They're super cute, and it looks like they're trying to help. I just don't know to what degree. I'm not quite gonna put them in detrimental. Really tempted though. Let's go little value. I think early on it might be able to help some players, get through the levels a little bit, but just be super careful with them around. So we're gonna move them to, sorry, little guy, little value. Next we have quite an odd one, actually. So it's called Kills to Mana. And when you kill a nearby enemy, some mana liquid will appear out of you or spawn from you. Which, I mean, it can be good. But at the same time, it's weird. You need to get enough kills to summon enough liquid, and then, I mean, that lets you shoot more frequently and not run out of mana, which is definitely a good thing. Mana liquid in 1.0 eats through metal and some other materials. It can probably cause a few problems. Some people like this one. I'm not a huge fan, but at the same time, I can't really poo-poo it because it doesn't really have a downside other than, potentially melting through something you don't want to melt through. Let's put it in somewhat useful. I think that's a safe bet for this guy. Next, we have No More Knockback. Now, this perk is depending on your loadout and, again, what you're trying to accomplish in the run. It's really great if you have like a couple of shots with heavy shot or damage ups on them, because generally speaking, they'll push you back further. If you have concentrated shots, that would be another really good reason to sort of balance that out so you don't get pushed back by your shots anymore. That would actually be a really great combination. For me, though, I actually like being, flung around by some spells late game. Just you can create a really great flying wand with that, and I think that I'm gonna put it in somewhat useful. It's good in combination with something else, but by itself, for me at least, take it or leave it. There's so many other better perks that we could get that kind of put this one on the back burner a little bit. So, yeah, somewhat useful. It's going to sit right here. The next one should actually be quite popular among a certain subset of player. Peace with Gods. No More Angry Steve. Or Friendly Steve, I like to call it. So what this one does, if you've previously destroyed a Holy Mountain, or through no fault of your own, a Holy Mountain was destroyed, this will prevent... Steve, if he's already angry, it'll stop him being angry. And if he hasn't spawned yet, you can freely dig through Holy Mountains with no repercussions. Some people look at this as a bad thing because if Steve doesn't spawn, you don't get the money for killing him. However, I think that especially newer players to the game are really going to appreciate this one. Just because if Steve shows up, it can be a major pain. It'll stop a run dead, if you're unable to kill him. His shield is so strong that yeah, it's kind of a scary thing. I certainly remember my first encounter with the Stivari, and that's not a good thing. So this one I'm going to put in good, and I think I'm going to put it there specifically for like people that are finding, you know, a lot of problems with Steve. Definitely definitely a good perk. We're gonna add it up here. So the next perk is called phasing. This one I like a lot. It's got some positives and it's got some negatives. We'll go into that. Essentially what happens if anything slower than or around about the speed of a spark bolt is headed towards you, as soon as it hits a barrier around you, the projectile is sort of, well, it phases through you. So it disappears and it reappears on the other side of you. There's a 50% chance for it to happen. It seems to happen fairly regularly. And there's also a cooldown between the times in which it's able to activate. So I like it a lot. It does, you know, increase the risk a little bit, but I think it's very, very good perk. Now, the one thing to keep in mind, if you have projectile repulsion field, it actually works really, really well with that. So a shot's coming in and it's about to hit you. Projectile repulsion field will slow it down, and then, fingers crossed, phasing takes over and the shot misses you entirely. Obviously, if there's something behind you, like an explosive barrel or you know, box or something like that, there's still a risk that the shot will penetrate and explode that, which will then do 33% more damage to you. But overall, I think it's pretty damn good. It's a nice little addition. For this one, I'm going to put it in the exceptional category. So the next one is called projectile duplication. I like this one. This is cool. So let's say you're just shooting an ordinary spark bolt. There's a 50% chance every time you shoot that spark bolt will get split in two. Now, the great thing about that is that it doesn't cost additional mana, meaning you can potentially, again, put down range a lot more shots, which we've discussed before is super important, and it not really cost you in terms of the amount you can cast, right? Your mana will not deplete faster if there's more shots coming out. There is a small downside, 25% chance projectile damage increase, which is kind of scary. One thing I do really like about this is that any shots potentially affected by modifiers, so like damage ups, things like that, you can essentially get all of that benefit included in that additional shot, again, at no extra mana charge. This is going to sit somewhere middle of the road. This is a good perk. I like it a lot, but there's so many more that I would much rather have. This is kind of a last resort, right? You can't afford to reroll again, or you reroll, and this is kind of the best of an average bunch, but it's certainly not a bad thing. There's no negatives to this for as far as I can tell. So I'm going to put it in the good category. I'm going to sit it here next to Friendly Steve. No problem. This next one should hopefully make a lot of people very happy. It's remove worm and lurky digging. So a lurky, for those that didn't know, is a spider in the game. As you know, the worm crystal protects holy mountains against worms burrowing, or most of the time it does. Occasionally they'll get through, especially if they're traveling at speed. But one thing that will still come through time and time again, almost guaranteed, are the spiders. And when that happens, it is damn annoying. So they can still travel through the ground. Both spiders and worms can still sort of get around, but they don't destroy terrain. I'm not the biggest fan of it. I really like the random nature, like despite, you know, a few of my hitless runs getting knocked back to the first level, you know, it's okay. It's okay. I like that chaotic feeling. I'm going to put it in somewhat useful. I think new players are going to love this one. Even some seasoned players that always have trouble with spiders, again. I'm going to put it in somewhat useful for now, but I'm sure some people will get a kick out of that one. Someone's going to love it. This is going to be someone's favorite perk of all time, just because of you know, the ability to stop spiders actually destroying terrain. One thing about destroying terrain is you've got an easy exit. As long as you can take out Steve and you want to sort of shuffle wands around and edit wands. If you don't have Tinker with wands, then yeah, maybe not taking this is a good idea. It's up to you. It's like I said, it's the best thing about this game is that there's so many different ways of playing it. The next one is called Revenge Bullets. An odd one. Bullets that hit you or projectiles that hit you are sent back to the enemy. Now, let me rephrase. It's not the same bullet. It's recast from you and it's heading towards the enemies. It's not a guaranteed hit, but it's okay. It's a little bit extra DPS that's going back towards the enemy. The damage seems somewhat randomized. I can't really tell with this one. It's weird, again, but yeah, you know what? It's okay. It's certainly something that, you know, I mean, if you're getting shot over and over again, particularly in areas like the frozen caverns or, you know, maybe Hisi base, you've got tons of Hisi, lots of grenades being lobbed at you. Hopefully you can take that many hits if you're there. Some of these shots get returned to the enemy. So that's definitely a positive. Let's say somewhat useful. It's not quite in the good category just because it's not a guaranteed hit. The damage seems to fluctuate. Even the speed seems at odds with itself at times. So I'm not sure of the math or science behind that. More testing required. For now, somewhat useful. The next one is pretty dang good. It's called Teleportitis Dodge. So with this one, when a projectile is near you, it doesn't have to be coming directly for you. As long as the projectile's near you, there's sort of a circle around you, again, where it'll activate. You'll get teleported a short distance. Now, there is a cooldown involved with that one as well. I really, really like this. This has saved my butt on more than one occasion. It's super helpful. Like, even if projectiles are coming in slowly or even fast ones, it seems to pick up and activate. As long as that cooldown's surpassed, it's great. It moves you a short distance. It doesn't seem to teleport you into terrain. I don't even know if that's possible. At least it hasn't happened to me. Yeah, I like this one a lot. This one's going in the exceptional category, right up here next to phasing. And that is it, ladies and gentlemen. That is my Noita 1.0 updated tier list. It's been an absolute pleasure to host you. Please, if you've enjoyed this video, leave a like. Feel free to subscribe if you like. Come and join me on Twitch. Come and hang out. I'm live most nights, 6 p.m. PST. And I tell you what, I'm gonna open up the floor to you guys. I'm gonna save this layout so that you can create your own tier lists. And I'm gonna create a special link to go straight to the Noita channel on my Discord. Come and hang out there. Drop a screenshot of your perks. If you disagree with me, please let me know. Like, I had a blast playing this game for the last year. Now that it's fully released, I'm just overwhelmed. There's a brand new audience. You guys have been fantastic, and I love playing the game. Obviously, it's a little bit, you know, not necessarily new user friendly. There's a huge learning curve. At the same time, there's so many different ways of playing the game, and it's really cool to be sort of, you know, in this community where we all talk about the game and how well the game's doing and what different strategies there are. And you've got other people producing videos on massive secrets, stuff that I don't even know about. Like, I'm really glad to be here. I'm glad you're here. Thank you so much, folks. I will catch you again on the next video.